It's so nice to see all of you here tonight. I'm just delighted. I want to thank Kimberly again for being part of our village family and for always being such an important champion to us and for playing an important role in our city now as Secretary of State. I also want to echo the gratitude that she shared with tonight's co-chairs, Hillary and Tom Baltimore and Erica and A. Scott Bolden. And to the entire gala committee, what an extraordinary effort you have worked on, and to the auction committee led by the relentless Jackie Michael and Peggy Sparks. I know you're back there. And I also would be remiss in not saying our gratitudes to Stuart Allen and her remarkable crew of workers and all of the staff of N Street Village who are here tonight. Thank you for being here. You make our village what it is every day, and you make us very proud. And lastly, I want to acknowledge our board of directors, led by our chair, Peter Shields, and our vice chair, Ruth Sorensen, and the entire board of directors. Would you please stand up? Thank you. This is a remarkable, ambitious, and fun, thoughtful group of people on this board, and I'm honored to work with you. So as Kimberly said, it's good to see you all here tonight, especially on a night when even more new and serious perils of our world are so evident with coronavirus. And I wanted to mention that we are grateful that many of the attendees who planned to be here followed our advice to protect their health as necessary and to stay home tonight. I also want you to know that the meals that aren't being served here tonight, because there aren't some folks here, will go to N Street Village and will be part of the offering that we have. And we're going to be sure to share with those who couldn't be here some of the times that we had this evening with photos and news afterwards. And many of us, I know, have been thinking about how this new viral threat to life and safety and calm reminds us of our common vulnerability, of the danger of rushing to judgment about the other, and of our deep interdependence. And this very night, when we question the choice of gathering in a crowd, there are hundreds of women together in our shelter whose cohabitation is not by choice, and their homelessness does not have an end date. So I honor those of you here who chose to be here tonight and those who couldn't attend but who are here in spirit, because by doing so, you are all standing in solidarity with the women of our shelter and all of those who do not have a home to go to tonight. Thank you for doing that. And your commitment and generosity are especially poignant on a night when we are honoring our friends Sherry and Decker, who embody the very meaning of these village values. All of you here tonight, your commitment and your generosity are why we find yourselves here. And I'm lucky enough to know many of you, but even for those of you I don't, I do know something about all of you who are here tonight, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I'm not going to tell you what you already know about N Street Village, about the 2,000 women each year whose lives your generosity affects, about the measurable and lasting changes that you make through your contributions, about the homelessness ended, the health care provided, the meals served, the jobs gained, the safety and comfort found at last. No, because you've experienced this firsthand in your volunteering, or you've read it in the fine print of our materials, right? And you're also going to hear about it tonight directly from Sharon, Nataki, and Jewel, 3 women that we are honoring. So rather than those impressive results of your investments of time, talent, and treasure, I want to talk about the 3 following things that I know about all of you. First of all, I know that you know about both the joyfulness and the necessity of giving. Every day, at N Street Village, the irrepressible impulse of generosity is evident in innumerable acts, be they small or large, be they material or non. There's our longtime friend Cheryl, who, while recently staying in a rehab center, got a bouquet of flowers from N Street and immediately insisted on giving half of them to the nurse who was helping her. There's Connie, who lives with serious mental illness and travels the country by bus, regularly sending us handfuls of coupons, all carefully labeled for the Women of Bethany Center. And there's the longtime village friend and donor who calls just a few days before this gala, so eager to support our honorees and all the other women of the village that they offer to make yet another leadership investment. So we come together tonight in the knowledge that the impulse to give and to give back is innate and that its very expression is fulfilling. The benefits of generosity accrue to the giver just as surely as to the recipient. We also come together tonight in the understanding of the meaningfulness of every single contribution. We esteem Connie's stack of coupons just as verily as every dollar donated for this event. One example of this generosity is my elegant and warm-hearted friend, Petrina Thomas. Almost a decade ago, after having a family and a career in the federal government, the scars of trauma and the ravages of addiction brought Petrina to a moment of ultimate desperation. She found herself in jail, thinking that this was the end of the meaningful life that she had hoped and worked for. She came to N Street one day with only her orange jumpsuit, and she remembers that the other women welcomed her with a shared meal and a visit to the clothing closet. But from amongst her new sisters, she says, it was only little Linda, as they called her, who magically found her a new pair of shoes. Linda offered up her second and only other pair because they wore the same size. 8 years later now, clean and sober, Petrina has a life in recovery which she says surpasses her dreams, and she doesn't let a single day go by without giving back out of her own sense of deep gratitude. Among other things, she's a peer mentor at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, where several months ago she was surprised to see little Linda as a patient. Petrina was delighted after all this time to be able to give something back to the woman who had offered her that first pair of shoes for her new life in recovery. Petrina's very life today speaks of the joyfulness and the necessity of giving. Secondly, what I know about you is that you believe we are more alike than we are different. That just as universal as our generosity are all the other passageways of our human hearts: loss and grief, exuberance and love, fear and courage. Those of you who come to the village as supporters, volunteers, and friends know that none of us have to look very far in our own lives or in the lives of those we love to see that we are all affected by the same human circumstances known to the women of N Street Village. Be it a loved one with addiction, a life-threatening illness, a mental health decline, a job loss, a crisis. We have all faced a day when we were in deep need, and we remember who was there for us, whose voice, whose kindness, whose company was beside us. And likewise, we've experienced a day when we were able to be of love and service to someone else, and we know the fulfillment of being able to make offerings from whatever abundances we have. These experiences are our shared human providence. We are indeed more alike than we are different. Which leads me to the third thing that I know about you. I know that you are after something much more ambitious than just charity. You are leaders in a new movement for justice. We know that for many of us, it is mere accidents of fate or luck or timing that have benefited us and sheltered us from the perils of structural inequity. And following our belief that we are more alike than we are different, then we know that everyone should be accorded, everyone, every neighbor, every loved one, every stranger should be accorded the worldly justice we all deserve with equal access to basic needs, including housing, healthcare, vocation, income, and dignity. So this movement you are leading is a new economy of compassion, one where justice is the coin of our realm, compassion is our exchange market, and equity is our dividend. In closing, I want to tell you the end of the story of Linda and Bertrina. Bertrina told me recently that Linda had been discharged from St. Elizabeth's shortly after she saw her there, and Linda said she was determined to make it this time. But not long after, Linda died in Franklin Park. Not every story ends in obvious victory. But as she told me this, Bertrina pulled out photographs. Linda's family had held a celebration of Linda's life in Franklin Park, serving a warm meal to everyone there in need, and a memorial booklet in which they were so generous as to even think of thanking N Street Village. That victory may not be too obvious, but Linda's family made sure that even in death, her memory would provide hope for the next woman who comes to N Street Village. They may never even know who that woman is, but she is friend or family to someone else just like them. So that's what I know about all of you. I know that alongside Bertrina and Linda and her family, you are leaders of a new economy of compassion. You may not even be aware that you are leading. But take note, others are watching, and others will follow. Those are the things I wanted to say about you tonight, but you didn't need my words to tell you. It stirs already in your hearts. Thank you. And I want to tell you now that we are visited tonight, honored to have the presence of Linda's daughter and her twin sister. Would you please stand up so we can acknowledge you? We thank you for being here tonight, for giving us, for the generosity of allowing us to share your mother's story and for making her life so meaningful in the ways that you are doing.